through our Facebook page at clrn.ar. I'm Kathy Wells, President. We're very pleased to welcome our candidates for local office here today. We will be hearing from candidates for Justice of the Peace District 4 and JP 6 and House District 36 and House District 34. We will now start with a 3-minute statement by the first candidate for JP 4, Julie Blackwood.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Blackwood, and I am running for Justice of the Peace in District 4. I would like to thank Kathy Wells and the Neighborhood Association for inviting me here today. I've been your JP for about 11 years, and I've lived in Hillcrest for about 25 years. I've also been a business owner for about 25 years in the Hillcrest and Heights area. I'm married, and I have 3 grown daughters who attend public school, who have attended public school systems here in Little Rock. I'm a strong supporter of the public school systems here because almost everyone in my family has been a teacher of some kind in the public school systems. My dad was a teacher, my sister was a teacher, my eldest daughter is a teacher, my youngest daughter is a speech pathologist in the public school system, so just about everybody here in my family is in the public school systems of some kind. So I am extremely a strong supporter of the public school systems. Since I've been on the Quorum Court, I've worked and supported a lot of things, and one of my main things is youth services. I think I've been on almost every single ordinance they have had. I'm a strong supporter. They help create school programs and summer programs for kids, which I think is extremely important to have. I'm also a strong supporter of community services, which they do wonderful things like get affordable housing for people in our district, which I think is extremely important. I also think you'll remember the Lake Maumelle Watershed Project, which was what we had where we got our clean water that we drink today in Little Rock, which I think is extremely important and which we have today. And I worked diligently and hard on that, which I am proud of, that we have really clean water today, and most people don't have what we have in our Pulaski County. I'm also a big lover of animals. I have 2 dogs at my house and a granddog. I started the Give 5 program, which is a donation which you can pay at when you pay your county, your property taxes. And you can give money, and what that money does is it reduces the cost of spay and neutering for people in the county, which I think is great because we all know how expensive it is to spay and neuter your animals. So that was a program that I started, and I think it's a fabulous program. I know that crime is on everybody's mind today, unfortunately, and so I am a strong supporter of the sheriff and the county jail. We've worked hard to keep our county jail, and we do have a new sheriff, and hopefully he will have a lot of ideas to bring to the table, which I'm looking forward to listening to him. We have a balanced budget. We've worked hard to have a balanced budget and time. And that's why I am asking for your vote. Thank you.
Please take a seat here for the questions next. And we'll now hear from candidate Vicki Hatter. You'll have 3 minutes.
If you want the microphone to work, you've got to have it really close to your mouth.
Okay. Just like you're almost kissing it. You
Oh,
can
wow.
tell. You can tell when you've got success.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay. I have a high-pitched voice, so it projects. Good morning, everybody. I am Vicki Hatter, and I'm running for Justice of the Peace, District 4. That encompass, if we use 630 as a boundary line, it's down by the river, up to John Barrow, down John Barrow, over the Brookside Reservoir, and then down Camp Rowan, right, all the way back down to the river. So it encompasses Leawood, the Hillcrest area, the Heights, as well as downtown. And I'm Vicki Hatter. Most of you guys, or most folks know me as being a education advocate. I advocate around social issues, particularly around education and the things that are going on in the system. And then helping parents navigate getting their children through the system, no matter in the midst of everything that is going on. But I'm running for Justice of the Peace. And so although Justice of the Peace will not have a direct dealing with the district, we are able to be allies. Then I'm running on a platform that is education, youth, quality of life, as well as safety. I have had the opportunity to attend several sheriffs with the supper with the sheriffs. And when he was doing that in 2019, I've learned of so many issues that is going on in the county, along with the law enforcement, as well as them being underfunded, bringing our sheriff's department up to the 21st century, listening to our county employees about competitive wages, even though they just got a small increase. However, healthcare is a big issue. And so looking at ways to where we could put out a bid for healthcare to where they are able to cover their spouses, and as well as our jails. Our jails have some serious major maintenance issues that need upgrading, and so looking at ways to be creative to come up with revenue to address those issues to where it is hindering our sheriff's department, no matter from doing what they need to be doing. They have the positions that need to be filled that have been deferred until after our election. And so we have critical positions that are going unfilled that needs to be filled, as well as looking at our youth programs, making sure that our programs are effective and efficient, and that have measurable outcomes. That's a platform of mine. And quality of life, making sure that staying aware of things that's happening within the entire county. So although I am running for District 4, I will represent District 4, but I also represent the entire county, so I would need to be abreast of everything that's going on, and I will. So I appreciate the vote for Vicki.
Please take a seat here. We're going to have 3 questions posed to candidates in this race. They will have a minute to reply. Is our camera angle good, technician?
If you'd sit next to each other, it'd be a little easier.
Move closer together, candidates.
Yeah.
We good? Okay.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Question 1 is the county faces competing demands for more money. Among these are upgrading our transit system, major analysis due out very shortly, and handling the $4 million in deferred jail maintenance the sheriff says is going to require a new jail. He noted the last new jail tax some years back provided nothing for maintenance, which has brought us to the situation we're in today. So our question is, how would you resolve these competing demands for more money? Let's hear first from candidate Blackwood.
First off, with we have just entered a new interlocal agreement with, or not an interlocal agreement, but we've got, I guess what we would call it is, we have just got a new agreement with the cities of Little Rock, North Little Rock, Jacksonville, all the cities that give us money that feed into our county jail. And so that has been a big increase. And so they have increased their funds that they are going to give us for the county jail, which has been, which will be a big help to us when we need that money, because the problem has been that we were in an interlocal agreement and our money was not up to par on how much we got per inmate. So, and we also, of course, get so much per state inmate, which we cannot change. So with the increase in funds, I'm hoping that that will help get some extra funds.
Candidate Hatter, how would you resolve the competing demands?
Well, first, and then I will also look at talking with our legislators about increasing that $28 per day because that is something that we can do. And so I am very well known on working across governmental lines, and then this is something that has to be done. We cannot stay within our silos and just say, well, then we're going to only deal with the county, because the county also sits in our city of Little Rock, which also sits in the state. So also looking at ways that even though there has been a small increase, it's still not enough, right, to cover the operational costs of no matter the jail. And so we would have to look at other avenues to generate funding for a revenue for the jail.
And time. Okay, the next question we have, and we have encouraged people to submit them on index cards. There's still time to do that. Feel free to bring one forward. This question is, what would you do as a JP that's a new thing in your district upon election? Let's start with Hatter this time.
Yes. So one of the things that I would do is capacity build to get more participation within government and to engaging our government. So I have been a community organizer and advocate, so I know how to properly and effectively engage our community. Also looking at bringing in our youth to where our youth will understand what a quorum court member do. And we do a lot more than marry people. I mean, I know a lot of people think that a JP only marries people, but all JPs do not marry people. I wouldn't be one of them when you elect me. So that is one of the things that I would do. I would look at creating a Students Justice Council to where they'll be able to come in and understand the county government and then how to work with your city, your state, and as well as your federal, which I have a relationship with all three
And
levels.
Candidate Blackwood, what new thing would you implement?
Well, of course, one of the new things I did implement was the Animal Get Five Act. And so I guess one of the new things that I might implement today would be something where that our community could maybe get more involved in things that would help the animals in our district so that we don't overload our animals to where we have way too many animals in our shelters. We have way too many animals. We don't even run a shelter at this point. We are not even running a shelter. We've closed the one that we do have up in North Little Rock, which I think is absolutely horrible. And so we have got to open something and do something about that. So I might want to establish something where we can open a new shelter and do something in that area, because we do not have anything at all that's running right now.
And time. Thank you. We don't have a third question in hand. Would somebody like to raise their hand? All right, sir, what's your question?
This question I know is, there's really not an obvious answer, but I've read the headlines, as I'm sure you all have. Juvenile services are an important part of what the county does, the juvenile court districts. You've also got a department that focuses on youth. Quorum Court, as the legislative body has asked for information about caseloads and statistics and who's going to what court and what's happening to them in court and so forth. The judges have apparently just stonewalled this request from the Quorum Court, as I understand it from the headlines. I don't like to hear that. I mean, I know judges are busy, and I know this whole thing of around my court and all that, but do you have any ideas about how you're going to pursue this and break this down? This is ridiculous. I mean, this is taxpayer money. Quorum Court absolutely deserves to know what to do, and maybe the money's not being spent correctly. I mean, I kind of doubt there's huge problems. But on the other hand, the idea was to improve the system, right? So what's next? Ms. Blackwood, you're the incumbent. What's happening?
Okay, what I would have liked to have seen happen, and the direction that we wanted to go was to have a person put in place in there to be able to be an intermediary to help these kids so that we could get the information. What I would have liked to have seen, it was going to be run by our county judge. What happened was the judges and our county judge got into a fight over. What I would like to have seen is if we could not have that intermediary be there, and maybe the judges be in charge of the intermediary. You know, there needed to be a compromise is what needed to happen, and that compromise on both sides was not, no one was willing to give. And that was where the stonewalling came, and it was a problem on both sides. And so, unfortunately, no one was willing to give. I think that if we could have gotten that intermediary person in there, the person that they wanted, which was a great idea, we needed that person. We needed that person to be in there helping those children. But
Is there any sense of what the quorum court might do?
I would like to see us go forward and put that person in there and see if the judges couldn't be in charge of that person.
Okay, and
Well,
candidates?
Hattie, you have any ideas about this?
Well, with the gridlock, then as a quorum court member, I would have them all come together and then come up with a resolve. Because even though there's gridlock, and it doesn't mean that like we can't come to the resolve, and we shouldn't allow the gridlock right to be a resolve, because then that's a stop in services, and then our juvenile and their family and the community is not being properly served. And so at that point, I think that the quorum, and granted, I'm not on the quorum court, but at that point, I believe that quorum court members should have come together to encourage, to do a strong encourage of an intermediate for a temporary resolve until the permanent resolve happens. Like, I don't ever think that we should just take a gridlock or else a non-action right
And
resolve.
time.
Well, I'll have to say that whoever gets elected, I hope the quorum court doesn't let go of this. This is ridiculous. We have a huge problem with kids. A huge problem with the kids. And so for people to say, well, I'm not interested.
And then too, with the school to prison pipeline, that is a major initiative. And when Dr. Divers White was alive and with us, and then I did a lot of work with them. And so I've been even up to today. So that is a major concern of mine, no matter as a parent. So guaranteed, and no matter you will all and those watching elect me as quorum court, this is something that will not be just left undone.
Thank you, candidates. Next, we'll have the JP6 candidates. Please come forward. No, you don't get closer today. Our time is tight today. I'm sorry.
I had a question.
Well, I'm sorry, it didn't make it through. It's in here. We'll get it this time. JP Massey and Pamela Whitaker. Let's first hear a 3-minute statement from Don Massey.
Good morning to everyone. I am Justice Massey. I serve on the Pulaski County Quorum Court. I do want to thank the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods for having us here this morning. During my tenure, I worked into the Pulaski County as a kind of community where individuals want to come to work, to live, to raise their families. And I understand that there are 5 things that we have to have in a community in order to have a vibrant community. But before I get into that, I want to briefly say that I initially ran for office because I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I found that our leaders were doing things for us, but not with us. They were actually doing things to us. So I felt that I needed to be a participant in what takes place in our community. I'm the mother of 4 adult children. I'm employed with FedEx Freight, have been for 33 years. I'm a master's in business administration. And as I said, I'm passionate about my community. I understand the 5 things that we need in a community in order to ensure that we have a vibrant community, that spur economic development, a healthy community. People want a safe community. They want to know that we have educational opportunities. And last but not least, recreation opportunities. In regards to economic development, I look at the Main Street corridor, and 5 years ago, it was nothing like it is today. I'm very proud of what we've done in partnership with the City of Little Rock and through our Brownfield initiative to make that a reality. Also, not only that, but giving entrepreneurs who wanted to come in and be business owners, giving them an opportunity to receive loans that they're currently paying back, I'm very proud of, to go into business. So I'm very proud of what's taking place in the Main Street corridor, the Zuber Road expansion. We are under the impression and belief that if you build it, they will come. I'm excited about the possibilities and the jobs that are going to come into that area, the industrial area. And last but not least, solar. In a few months, we are going to go solar. All of our county buildings are going to be solar, which is going to give the county $500,000 in savings, which is going to give us an opportunity to invest more into our community and the services that we offer. Healthy community, whether it's protecting our drinking water, or taking care of the mentally ill, or making sure that the health departments are meeting the needs of our indigent and our lower income families. And then a safe community. People want to know that we are taking care of them. In regards to prevention and intervention, I think it's important to invest in prevention and intervention because it's so much easier to build a child than it is to repair an adult. In the event that we have to repair an adult, we have to make sure that we have re-entry programs back into the community that are going to meet the needs so that we can break that recidivism rate in our detention facility. And then educational opportunities. We have to partner with the City of Little Rock. We have to most definitely partner with our education, Little Rock School District, to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our youth. We have to partner with these judges, and we have to make sure that we elect judges who are really concerned about our youth and not, I'm not saying this is what they're doing. We want to make sure that they're concerned about the youth. I'll just leave it at that. I do thank you for your time, and I am running again for District 6, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Okay, candidates, Picker, 3-minute statement. Take a seat here.
Start chumming. Move away from the mic.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I am Pamela Whitaker. That's WHIT1TAKER, and I'm running for Justice of the Peace right here in District 6, this district. Just to let you know a little bit about me, I guess I've always been a leader. When I was in Amarillo, Texas, and I was 6 years old, I started with the All-Girls Softball League. And then when I was 14 and we lived in Minnesota, I always had dreams, and I dreamed of flying aircraft and flying for the military, but in those days, women didn't get to do that. And when I graduated high school with honors, I wanted to go to college and med school. But my father said, some hairy-legged boy will take care of you. You don't need to do that. And so I did marry that hairy-legged boy, and he was a pastor. And so I served as a pastor's wife for several years. But I always wanted to improve on my education. So I took, as a single mom, I took my 2 kids, I went back to Oklahoma State University, and I graduated with a computer science degree. And it opened up a whole new world for me. I didn't get to fly jets, but I got to work on them in Fort Worth, Texas. And when I moved to DC, and I worked in the IRS Data Center, I was known for my project management and my organizational skills leadership. And I was asked to serve on their world-class organization. I moved back here to help my mom, just like many people do. And I love Arkansas. I love the water. It's so clear, and I will always work to make that happen and stay that way. And we have a slogan on our campaign. It's Let Freedom Flow. And it kind of encompasses the things I want to do here. To let educational freedom flow. To work with our youth. I have a nonprofit where I work with young women to get them into engineering and flight fields where they're not represented. And we need our minorities to be there too. And I have my woman-owned business where I work with security and I work with drone technology. So I offer a unique position to the Quorum Court to help with policies that are going to have to come around for these new technologies. So I'm asking for your vote on March 3rd, and most importantly, I'm asking you to
please take a seat. We have a question that we'll start with candidate Whitaker on, which is how many boards and commissions, agencies have you been on? And I think that referring to the local scene, is that right, Robert?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so what's your local service?
So, yes, I have served as vice president on the Project Management Institute. I've served as a sector chief in the InfraGuard community. That's our security community around the state. I'm currently the VIPS. Denise has stepped down for the League of Women Voters, so I've taken that position. See if there's others on my list. Trying to think if there's others. We have a woman-owned and minority-owned small business association on which I serve as a secretary. So I help others in their new entrepreneurship of owning a business and moving up in that.
Thank you. All
Thank
right. Candidate Massey, what have been your local services?
Well, I believe since 1994, for the past 10 years, I've served as chair of Arkansas Community Organizations, which is an organization who focuses on working families, lower income families, helping them to realize that they have a voice. Trying to remember all of this. I serve on the Milton Pitts Aviation Training Academy Advisory Board, trying to focus on the young people in the community, letting them know that there is a field in aviation. I'm a member of Grassroots Arkansas. I'm a member of, I can't think of, there are so many different organizations. Little Rock School District, that's not the name of it, but right now I just can't think of it. But anyway, there's a host of organizations, grassroots organizations that I'm a part of.
Okay, thank you. Next question, we'll start with candidate Massey. How would you resolve the competing demands for more money, such as transit, and do you favor more money for public transportation? And of course, the $4 million needed for the jail, maybe a new jail. How would you resolve these competing demands? Candidate Massey, 1 minute.
Okay, in regards to transit, I'm definitely in support of funds that we give to transit. Right now, we're giving $1.27 million to transit. I am in support of giving more. I think that there should possibly be some type of tax, possibly, maybe not right now, but as our executive director for transit meets the needs of our community by changing up how we are transporting individuals, I think people will see the need and want to invest more in transit. At that point, maybe we can get into a tax. I also understand that there are millions of dollars that's available that he can apply for, but there has to be things done by the city and possibly by the county in order to make that accessible. So I think that is one way of doing that. In regards to the jail, I do believe that if we take that back. I do believe that if we increase what we're getting from our cities right now, we're losing $3 million that is left, because we're currently getting $3 million, but there's $3 million more that we should receive from our cities. But they've worked out an agreement for the next year that we're going to receive an extra 25%, which is going to, I'm not sure exactly what it's going to yield us, but we're going to do that for another year, and then they're going to do a survey to see how many inmates are coming in per city. From that point, we will determine how much each city needs to pay.
And time. Okay. Next question, and we'll start with candidate Whitaker. What is your position on the I-30 proposed expansion to 10 lanes?
That's a good one. So I am definitely not in favor of that. I believe our local community needs to be lifted up. Our green space needs to be increased. I didn't get to mention, I should have, that I am a proponent of transportation. I'm very in favor of a future rail system that might just cross over 630 and heal this scar down the middle of our community. I've seen it done. I've been in Washington, D.C. I lived in a hub zone area. There was a combination of public, private, federal funds that came in there, and the transportation was a big piece of it. So, and with political will, it happened and the whole area changed. So I'm very much a proponent of transportation, and I believe that we have an opportunity here to get some funds in here to help with that.
Thank you. Candidate Massey.
Repeat the question again for me.
Your position on the I-30 expansion proposal to 10 lanes.
I am not in support of that. I do believe that before any type of expansion can be done, there needs to be a major impact study as to how it's going to affect the community. I was definitely a lead sponsor in a resolution that the Quorum Court presented in regards to doing an impact study before any type of expansion was done in regards to 630 and 30.
Okay, thank you. Believe by my count, we have completed 3 questions for this
I
race.
have one real quick, if we may.
Very quick, please.
This issue of jail is, it's been going on forever. I mean, since this organization was founded, there's been 3 jail tax elections. And every time the jail tax has failed, for good reasons. One of the most relevant facts, and I don't know if you, perhaps Ms. Massey knows, the incumbent, Ms. Whitaker may know it, but part of the problem is that the jail population, they always say it's overcrowded, we need to do something, and the big one that I remember was back in '97. They really wanted to build a penitentiary out of Roosevelt Road. They wanted to add 2,000 beds, and I think the current population is about 1,200 or something like that. They wanted to add 2,000 beds. If you look under the numbers, the problem always is the number of people that have gone to court, been judged guilty of their crime, and they're waiting to go to state prison. It's always at a couple hundred. Oh, we're full. Oh, we need you guys in Pulaski County to build 2,000 more beds, or whatever the number is, so we can take care of these people that should be incumbents. What's the current number? What's the current population? What's the complaint about the, quote, overflow? And what can we do about getting the state to take these prisoners after they get convicted?
Wow, good question.
Well, I mean, this is still a problem, is it not? It's been a problem for 30 years.
It is still a problem. It is still a problem, and I think our legislators have to be involved in being concerned about that. But in my opinion, legislators when they get to the state legislator, it's like, oh well, you just deal with it, because we have to hold them, and I guess legally we have to do so. But I don't think it's right. I think it is a burden on the county. We can be doing other things with our monies in regards to investing in our jail. We are holding, I'm not sure how many prisoners a day. Not only that, I think we're trying to rehabilitate them, which is another waste of time. I'm in support of re-entry rehabilitation, but if they're going to the state penitentiary or wherever they're going, I don't think we need to invest in trying to rehabilitate them unless we know there is a process once they get to the state prison that they're going to further that rehabilitation, and then also possibly get some type of early release for being a part of that.
Ms. Whitaker?
Well, I've worked with a lot of budgets, and I've dealt with a lot of corruption over the years, and a lot of times you got to get under the hood. You got to figure out what the real hot spot is and what the real problem is. And if it's a particular person or there's some money going in the wrong direction, then that needs to be uncovered, and it needs to be.
I don't think that's the problem here. I think the problem is the state government, because they don't want to build enough prisons on their own, just want to, mandate a tax increase on Pulaski County. Oh, we've got all these guys that we can't put behind bars. You all need to pass a tax increase. Frankly, no jail tax on my watch, as far as I'm concerned. We're going to push back on this because this is simply, we have never, and the other complaint is we're letting felons out on the street. That's never happened. It's never happened. If it ever got maxed out, if I'm correct, Ms. Massey, they've always cited out the lesser, the low-level offenders, right? And still the practice,
Yes.
so be aware of the jail tax bogeyman.
I'm not in support of a tax. I think there are other ways to come up with the funds. Once again, we are, in my opinion, $3 billion short on what we should be receiving.
Well,
So,
Okay,
Well-
we're getting way off.
Well, the argument
Here,
between,
guys.
the dispute between the city and county is a different issue, but the underlying issue is there's plenty of room in the Pulaski County Jail to do what we're supposed to do. It's the state prison that's the problem.
Okay, would you like to have a further comment, Candidate Whittier?
No, it sounds like we're bumping heads. I do think the county needs to be heard, and I do think that a lot of times our county is taken advantage of. We get a lot of funds that are taken out by the state for highways and people that commute and never give anything back to this city. They just come in here, they go to work, and they leave. And so I think it's very important that we at the county stand up and say, hey, you know, we're doing our thing, we're doing what we're supposed to do, you need to do what you need to do. So if that's the case, I'll look into it further when I get in position.
And thank you for that. Our next race is District 36. We've got Denise in it for her 3-minute statement. Her opponent, Russell Williams, called me a couple of days ago and said that he wasn't able to attend. So Denise, 3 minutes, and then we'll ask you 3 questions.
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank the Coalition for Little Rock Neighborhoods for hosting this event. I am State Representative Denise Enid. I represent District 36. And for all you who don't know, District 36 is a large district. It encompasses parts of downtown, all of South End, East Little Rock. We have the airport, the Port Authority, all the communities that go up and down Highway 365, Grand Mountain, Hensley, Higgins, Riceville, Hensley, and Woodson. A little bit about me. I'm a proud correctional veteran's wife. I have 3 children, and I have 1 child with special needs. When my husband retired in the military, we decided to come back to Little Rock because I'm from here, and we thought this would be a great place to raise our family. And so since we moved back to Little Rock, I've been involved in a lot of community advocate things that better our community. I've also been very vocal about things that are harmful to our community, like the I-30 crossing, where I live at. I can see I can see 630 I-30 at my house, so I've been very vocal about that, and I'm also on the lawsuit about that matter. My platform issues are education, healthcare, and strong communities. I have two children that are in Little Rock School District, and with the state takeover Little Rock District, and then with that, and then the state took over Pulaski County, and Pulaski County is also in my district as well. So what we've seen in recent times, what have these state takeovers done for our school districts? We really don't know how effective it was with Little Rock School District. We're still asking questions about that. So I'm in favor of strengthening the law so the states can't just come over and take over school district. There has to be a better way of addressing certain issues with the school district. Also, healthcare. I don't know if you all know what the PASS is. That's the managed healthcare that the state has for Medicaid. I'm all for strengthening those passes. There's been a lot of complaints about the constituents and how to use the PASS system. Also, strong communities. You can't have a strong community if you don't have healthy citizens or good education system. Strong communities, I'm in favor of affordable housing. I'm in favor of finding some way to fund the Arkansas Housing Trust. It hasn't been funded in years. So I'm a proponent, I'm in favor for finding solutions, finding a revenue stream so we can get affordable housing for people.
Anytime. Okay. You want to just stay there since you got this? Oh, we have a card question. While we're getting that card up, let's ask, what do you think is the greatest need in your district that the state should address? The greatest need.
Greatest need. I've been working with constituents since September, since I won the election. I've been intentionally working with the areas in Southeast County. A lot of the issues are environmental justice. We have a lot of we have several companies in that area that are doing things, and the constituents don't like the things that they're doing. So I would say working with different municipalities, finding ways to address the environmental justice issues with the trains and planes and all those things in southeast area of Pulaski County.
All right, thank you. Should the mentally ill, convicted felons, and persons with recent evidence of violence carry firearms? What state laws would you support?
Did you write that one, Robert? I'm admit I'm not up on that issue. I do support some type of ban for people who have mental illness for carrying firearms. I can't really speak on that. I don't really know much about that, so I will have to defer.
Okay. Let's take a third question from the floor. Anyone want to raise your hand? Ask a question. Neil, what's your question?
Yeah, what issue I've been dealing with and many others is the issue that a third of the state are renters, and they have very few rights vis-a-vis the landlords. And what would you do to address that?
Yes, thank you for asking that question, Neil. Last session, I was there when they kicked off the celebration about having a bill, a fair tenant renter bill, and it didn't go through the chambers. I'm in favor of that. Since I've been elected, I've spoken with realtors and I've spoken with renters as well. You have some good landlords and you have some bad tenants, and you have some good tenants and you have some bad landlords. So in the discussions I've had in the past with the two, I'm in favor of coming together and finding a equitable solution to help address that, because it's a lot of renters in my district. They deserve to have clean, safe environments so they can raise their families, so they can go to work, so their kids can go to school. So I am in favor of some type of law to address that.
Okay. And that's question 3, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have another question?
Yes, ma'am.
And I want all of the panelists to answer this question. How many of you have a copy of the United States Constitution? Would you hold your hand up? You have a copy.
You mean a little carry with you copy?
Yes.
That you're gonna hand us?
If you have carried with you,
I don't
you have it at next to your Bible, you have it in the bathroom, it doesn't matter. Do you own one?
Yeah.
Not a carry with you copy, but I have one at home.
What was your answer?
Not a carry with you copy.
But you got one.
Those that'll do that.
The reason why I asked that question is, I brought some for today. I have put out over 400.
Great.
And that started with legislators. Legislators have never owned one. They don't know anything. And in America, our Constitution is our shield for your rights as a citizen. And so I wanted to make sure that for the Coalition of Neighborhoods, we have always tried to do voter education, but we've also tried to do participatory democracy. Everybody knows that's my verse every morning, participatory democracy. So I'd like to pass out to those of you who need one with you. All of the federal discussion that's going on now is referring to the Constitution. We also celebrate you know, I believe in protocol. Will you share and teach how many amendments are in this Constitution?
As of what day?
Thank you, sweet.
He's always ready.
The last amendment was 27. We have 27 amendments. And we have a lot that are now being proposed. So I just want to be, I'm an educator, retired educator. And as a result of that, I believe in teaching, empowering. And so I know you have one at home.
I do,
But
but I will not turn down another one. Thank you.
You need to have it with you at all times